I've just been alerted by the group Campus Reform to a memo sent out by a professor of history at Syracuse University, Mark Rupert. He sent this memo both to the university working group but also to the community, and it talks about his mode of teaching. I think it's illuminating for what's going on in academia today. Basically, this Rupert fellow says, listen, he goes, I do want to teach both sides. I do want to teach about conservatism. I want to explain to my class why there are some people who might find this way of thinking to be attractive. In other words, he doesn't want to present conservatism as a legitimate rival point of view. He wants to treat it in a sense as something that requires explaining away, sort of like the way a doctor might look at a disease to try to understand why it's spreading. That bias is already evident in the way that this guy Rupert describes his approach to conservatism. But then he says, but there are certain forms of conservatism and republicanism that are beyond the pale. Trump is a racist, he's a misogynist, so I'm not going to give him the time of day. And then he singles out me. He goes, Dinesh D'Souza gave a, quote, fundamentally duplicitous talk at Syracuse University. He goes, I even sent some of my students and I now regret it. And I want to delve into this because I want to explain what he's getting at. He doesn't say one word about what I said that was duplicitous. He doesn't refute a single thing I said. Obviously, what I'm bringing to Syracuse University is something that they don't have, intellectual diversity. And I'm a non-white, I'm a person of color, an immigrant who's grown up in a different culture, bringing to Syracuse University something that many native-born Americans don't have, which is the ability to see America not just from the inside, but also from the outside. That's what scares this guy. He doesn't want that kind of intellectual diversity because immigrants may ask uncomfortable questions that other people don't ask. Second, I've been focusing on my work, and I suspect a lot of my talk is about the bigotry of the Democratic Party and of the political left. Now, I suspect what happened is that students from this guy's class went to my talk and they came back with some very uncomfortable questions that this dude couldn't answer. They were above his head. He was like, So he realized this is very discomforting. I don't want this. And so in the future, I will save myself the trouble of dealing with inconvenient truths and inconvenient interrogatories by excluding Dinesh's point of view from my classroom. So ultimately, that's what this is about. It's the deep intellectual intolerance that ultimately hurts the students themselves. This is not about Mark Rupert. Nobody's heard of Mark Rupert. Nobody's really heard of Syracuse University. But it's symptomatic of a broader problem in academia that we should know about and pay attention to.